each of us is able to shape our own character, master our will, and direct our life to worthwhile ends. Through education, we can advance to heights of glory. So let's nurture that ambitious desire within ourselves to be great in mind, to want that which is worthwhile and strive for it. Hi there, welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Arroyo Eubanks. As we turn the pages of the magazine today, we look at some fiscal prudence measures being undertaken by the government in pursuit of economic prosperity. Also on the agenda for growth, learn about some of the business opportunities to be derived from Jamaica's shipping and logistics initiative, plus the jobs to come and how we all need to prepare to take advantage. All this and more on the other side of this break.
Fiscal consolidation.
The centerpiece of the program has been the need to reduce our debt.
Business reform.
Make sure that we transform Jamaica to make it a place to do business easily.
New and existing businesses will benefit from streamlined regulations and processes.
And pursuing strategic investments while protecting the most vulnerable.
The path we're on is the right path.
The economy in Jamaica is turning.
The fact that the international community is once again lending to Jamaica says something about their confidence in our policies.
It is now time to actually stay the course, not to lose the benefits of the hard decisions that have been made.
The Jamaican government is committed to continuing the process of reform.
The government of Jamaica is on a mission, going for growth, staying the course and transforming the economy through its economic reform program.
Fiscal prudence is one of government's major strategies to contain expenditure and get the most out of every dollar spent in the running of the country. The administration has so far been doing a pretty good job at this, taking on the long-term challenge of creating a strong macroeconomic program that will create prosperity for all. Here's more on the latest fiscal measures.
Government is being successful at the strategy of good money management. Measures to contain public expenditure and improve tax reform are bearing fruit.
Fiscal performance continues to achieve and support the debt reduction objectives. External accounts are improving. Economic growth is continuing.
The latest figures for key economic indicators show improvement in the net international reserves NIR and the primary surplus. Net international reserves at the end of September stood at approximately $2.2 billion, which surpassed the IMF target of $972 million. Why is that good? Well, the NIR represents contingency funds that the country can use to survive severe external shocks and cope with shifts in investor confidence and natural disasters. While the reserves are not credited to the country's revenues, they provide confidence to the markets that external obligations can be met. In particular, a country's reserve holdings represent an implicit guarantee that the national debt will continue to be serviced, even in situations where access to new borrowing may be curtailed or become very costly. This is a critical part of government's strategy to maintain fiscal prudence and a credible macroeconomic program. Another important aspect of a credible macroeconomic program is earning more than you spend. Economic figures for April to August 2014 showed that Jamaica's tax revenue exceeded the programmed spending, resulting in a cumulative primary surplus of $28 billion. This is 13.9% better than the $24.6 billion that was budgeted.
We have to address our debt problem, which is choking us. All of this primary surplus, let's look back on these numbers. $28 billion of primary surplus that we are generating for 5 months in a year is going to pay debt.
Debt servicing and debt reduction is important because over time, this will free up funds that can support capital development projects and key public services.
We have to lighten the load of debt before we can really begin to reap all of the benefits of strong growth.
That also means reducing the fiscal deficit, that's the gap between earnings and debt. Between April and August 2014, Jamaica's fiscal deficit was 16% better than budgeted. Related to the lower than expected fiscal deficit is the fact that government continues to be prudent with expenditure and spent $10.3 billion less than budgeted in the April to August period. The amount compensated for a shortfall of $5.9 billion in revenues and grants. Maintaining the extended fund facility with the International Monetary Fund is another important part of government's strategy to maintain fiscal prudence, and by all indications, it's working.
The IMF board, as you know, approved the fifth review of Jamaica under the extended fund facility. Statistical Institute released the GDP numbers for the quarter April to June. And it shows that the economy grew by 1.8%, which is a little stronger than was expected. And that comes on the back of 1.6% for the January to March quarter. Just to note that this is the fourth consecutive quarter of growth since the IMF agreement was signed last year.
Government's prudent fiscal actions are also endorsed by international rating agency Standard & Poor's. In September, the agency reaffirmed Jamaica's B rating and upgraded the outlook from stable to positive based on the strong fiscal performance and NIR growth.
Even when you sit with the private sector people, you hear of investments going on. So I believe that that momentum is building. And you will see if Jamaica continues to perform in a steady way, I believe you will see investments pick up steadily year by year also.
The government of Jamaica is committed to continuing the extensive program of reforms of tax and public sector financial management, of the public sector modernization, of labor market reforms, all of which are important elements.
Government in action, containing public expenditure, eliminating waste and cutting the debt, all to create a platform for robust economic growth.
Important precautionary measures to prevent the introduction of Ebola to Jamaica. A travel ban is now in effect against persons entering the island directly or indirectly from 3 West African countries struggling with the Ebola outbreak: Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone.
The Ebola incubation period is up to 21 days, 3 weeks. You could essentially have left anywhere, entered the country, and be well for a week or so before you become ill.
Stay alert, stay safe. Avoid travel to Ebola-affected countries. Persons must honestly disclose their travel history at all ports of entry. While traveling, report to authorities if you or any traveler have Ebola symptoms or is believed to have been exposed to infected items or persons. Also, do not touch dead bodies and make intimate contact with persons who may be infected or who could have been in contact with an infected person. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's Emergency Operations Center at 1-888-1-LOVE. That's 1-888-663-5683. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Just recently, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller broke ground for the construction of the Total Logistics Facility at Newport West in Kingston. The 160,000 square foot warehouse is being built and operated by Kingston Wharves Limited to offer supply chain management and manufacturing. This represents a big step in the development of Jamaica as a global logistics hub. Find out more about how Jamaica is getting ready to become the 4th node in global shipping and logistics.
Transnational corporations are seeking more cost-effective ways of doing business. The integration of shipping and logistics hubs with industrial zones is evolving as the less expensive new mode of moving products to consumers, and Jamaica is establishing itself as the 4th node in the global chain.
We're talking about a concentration of entities engaged in global commerce using our transportation infrastructure.
And creating more avenues for Jamaicans to access high skill level, globally competitive, lucrative employment options. Jamaica's Logistics Hub initiative provides the local business sector with a near-shore distribution advantage, a base for generating enormous cargo flows, either as raw material, intermediate or finished goods, to the world's largest consumer markets.
What we offer is a shorter distance to market. We offer it at a lower cost. So instead of somebody ordering something, a manufacturer, a business, or even a final consumer, ordering something from China, and it takes 3 weeks to get here. If the goods are stockpiled in Jamaica, it can take 1 or 2 days. So it's things like that that we are demonstrating to businesses, to companies, and they are taking up that value proposition that Jamaica offers.
The new mode of operation creates more jobs both at the ports and the connecting industrial zones.
Cargo will come out of the port into the economic zones and undergo some form of transformation. That provides work for people in the assembly, it provides work for the technicians, even just putting in manuals in the appropriate language when the camera is shipped out. And that is where you have more economic benefit filtering into the economy.
Through agencies such as JAMPRO, the government has been attracting companies to set up shop in special economic zones. 16 zones have been identified, and as discussions advance with investors, work has started for the build-out of some infrastructure. It begins with the build-out of the Caymanas Economic Zone, spanning some 200 acres of production space in Phase 1 and an additional 1,500 acres of production space in Phase 2. Coupled with the Portland Bight Economic Zone, it will set the stage for thousands of new jobs, initially in construction-related tasks and later in a range of technical, manufacturing, administrative and related posts.
That is where companies will require financial services, accounting services, legal services. They're required to purchase electricity, water. All of those economic activities benefit countries. It provides employment.
While people will be working in the industrial zones, assembling or manufacturing products, those products will need to be transported, and that opens up work opportunities for drivers and trucking firms. The special economic zones are replacing what we previously knew as free zones and will be the heart and soul of Jamaica's logistics hub. Just as businesses in these zones will need to meet industrial standards, so too will the workforce.
The other hubs that exist across the world, they have zero unemployment. When you have a situation where everybody is employed, crime goes down. Other social ills are removed. The range of industries which we are targeting, biotechnology, medical devices, paper processing, these industries never existed in Jamaica.
These globally competitive companies are looking for engineers, technicians, value-added providers and others with internationally competitive skills and technological competencies. Jamaicans must, if they haven't already, quickly begin the process of getting international certification to fill the new job openings.
The thing is, in conjunction with training, we have to ensure that the training is certified to international standards.
The Caribbean Maritime Institute, CMI, with its School of Advanced Skill, is working with the local universities to train as many persons as possible and provide the required international certification to meet the demands. The CMI is also offering a special training course dubbed Logistics 101 to increase the public's understanding of the Hub initiative. This is accessible when groups or organizations make a request.
So people can go to the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce website, the Logistics Hub Task Force, and you can register for this course. Equally, there'll be a link to the Caribbean Maritime Institute website. So you can go there and register, and you can request the course. As long as you have a cohort, we'll take it to you.
The doors of opportunities are open for Jamaicans to seize the moment to build economic success. To capitalize, local entrepreneurs and job seekers must be prepared and ready, globally competitive for Jamaica's changing industrial landscape.
There is no vaccine for the chikungunya virus. If you've been infected, take paracetamol such as Panadol, Cetamol, and Tylenol to reduce pain and fever. Sleep under mosquito netting and get plenty of rest. Take showers or sponge baths in room temperature water to lower fever, especially in children, and drink lots of fluids to prevent dehydration. If your symptoms worsen, go and see a doctor. Do not take aspirin as this could cause bleeding, and never use rubbing alcohol. To learn more, call 1-888-1-LOVE. That's 1-888-663-5683.
Know your numbers and control the keys to a healthier heart. Know the numbers for your blood pressure, cholesterol level, blood glucose level, and your weight and body mass index. Find out the risks they represent and what you need to do to stay healthy. Talk to your doctor and start making healthy lifestyle choices to prevent a heart attack or stroke.
On the board this week, the Walk by Faith Tabernacle International, in association with the Holy Shabbat Miracle Center of West Palm Beach, Florida, and the Power and Life Church in Dallas, Texas, presents 3 The Hard Way, Miracle, Healing, and Revival with a Prophetic Voice. Come hear the heavy hitters in the prophetic realm unfold the Word of God from November 10 to 15. Venue, 66.5 Old Hope Road in Kingston. Starting time, 7:30 nightly. You can't afford to miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, JCDC, is now accepting entries for the 2015 Adult and Children's Gospel Song Competitions. Persons can get entry forms from the JCDC website at jcdc.gov.jm. You may also go into the Commission's head office at 3 to 5 Phoenix Avenue in Kingston or parish offices across the island. Youngsters aged 6 to 15 years can enter the Children's Gospel Song Competition with original or cover songs. They must submit entries no later than Friday, November 28, 2014. Adults, meanwhile, have until Thursday, January 29, 2015. Individuals, schools, churches, and community groups can submit entries in the solo, choir, and ensemble categories. The Church of the Open Bible in Twickenham Park, Spanish Town, presents Inner Delight, Flip the Script, Rewrite the Lines. It's on November 8 at the church, located beside the Police Academy. Featured acts include Twickenham Wind, dancers, voices, steppers, and many more. Starting time, 6 p.m. Adult tickets cost $700, while children pay $200. Call 749-3061 for more information. The Morant Bay High School alumni will be having its homecoming fundraising dinner and dance on Saturday, November 29 at the Whispering Bamboo Cove in Retreat, St. Thomas. Come for the entertainment. Support a worthy cause. Proceeds in aid of the Morant Bay High School Building Fund. And that's all for our community notices today. Send us your events for broadcast on the GIS Community Notice Board. Call 922-868-022 or send an email to cbishop@gis.gov.jm.
A recap of the major news stories of the week next.
Hi there, I'm Simone Wolf with your JIS News of the Week. The World Bank this week revealed that Jamaica now has the Caribbean's highest ranking on its Ease of Doing Business report. Jamaica is now ranked at 58 among 189 world economies, up from 85 last year. And Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips says it shows that initiatives under the Economic Reform Program are bearing fruit. The World Bank attributed the improvement to some major reforms implemented over the past year, including streamlining the requirements for starting a business and reducing the cost of getting electricity connection. Caribbean countries, including Jamaica, have agreed on a plan of action to deal with issues relating to energy as well as taxation and growth. This follows last week's Caribbean Forum hosted in Montego Bay by the IMF and the Ministry of Finance. Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips said regional countries would continue to put measures in place to develop the small business sector while working together to ensure the sustainability of the energy sector to include renewable energy sources.
And a review of the distribution of benefits within the regional framework is one of the things. But all told, I think that what we're seeing is a closer meeting of the minds between the international financial community and the Caribbean countries generally about a way forward for the Caribbean.
On Tuesday, Health Minister Dr. Fenton Ferguson revealed that coming out of his recent trip to Cuba, that country would be sending 2 experts to Jamaica next week to train healthcare and other frontline workers.
Cuba has agreed to deploy doctors and nurses to assist in the response in the event that Jamaica experiences an outbreak of Ebola.
Cuba will also train all its healthcare workers who are already in Jamaica's public health sector, and the 30 expected to arrive on the island in November. Cuba will also share daily updates on its Ebola response in West Africa to inform local decision-making processes, and is to also assist Jamaica in dealing with chikungunya and other vector-borne diseases. Dr. Ferguson meanwhile announced that Jamaica had drafted a roadmap for its integrated Ebola response.
We are now in the process of working with all stakeholders to fine-tune the details. The roadmap is 3-pronged and includes 1, border security plan, health management strategy, and 3, public education.
Meanwhile, government received more local private sector support for its Ebola program this week when Supreme Ventures Limited donated funds to purchase a thermal sensor unit for the Falmouth cruise ship complex, along with 25 handheld fever screeners and 10 Ebola kits.
I want to thank everyone who has assisted the response in some way. This has truly been a demonstration of great things we can achieve through teamwork and unity of purpose.
Later in the week, the Health Ministry ramped up its public education program with a media sensitization forum. Information Minister Senator Sandra Faulkner urged media practitioners to ensure that they support the process by providing the public with correct information.
All of us, it's our business. And so we all have a role to play in making sure, first, that we can screen it out and it doesn't get here. And secondly, that if it comes, that our people have the information, that we don't have the kind of panic we have had. And you all have seen it. We know of the case in Mandeville.
PAHO WHO advisor on disease prevention and control, Dr. Kamswan Mung, explained that proper protocol, early detection, quick rehydration and supportive care would be key in handling cases successfully. The PAHO representative was also a guest on a JIS special 1-hour presentation on Ebola and chikungunya, supported by the Ministry of Information and the Office of the Prime Minister. He stressed that persons needed to be equipped with the right information so they could act responsibly if they come in contact with someone suspected of having Ebola.
And once you see someone with that, to really send that someone to a health center for 2 reasons. One is the earlier an Ebola case is treated, the higher the rates for survival. But also equally important to the community and the country is to control the spread of infection, which can be done only at institutions.
In other news, Financial Secretary Devon Rowe says Jamaica is putting measures in place to withstand financial shocks from any possible changes to the Petrocaribe agreement with Venezuela. Mr. Rowe says he expects Jamaica's relationship with Venezuela to continue, but adds that if the terms and conditions of the Petrocaribe agreement are to change, the government will be able to respond.
We are building our reserves in a way to compensate for any potential occurrence. In addition as well to, we have been broadening the arrangements for repayment to Venezuela through the provision of goods. So far we have arranged a clinker deal which allows us to repay Venezuela in kind and not cash.
And finally, the National Youth Service NYS is donating $5 million to help with the expenses of 50 students doing undergraduate programs at the Caribbean Maritime Institute, the CMI. Each student will receive $100,000 in tuition and grants following the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the CMI and NYS.
We want you to become global producers taking a seat at the table rather than being marginalized consumers in a world without boundaries.
And those were some of the stories making news this week. I'm Simone Wolf.
The Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA, wishes to advise the public that renunciation of Jamaican citizenship can only be done by submitting an application to this agency. Under the Jamaican Nationality Act, only the minister under whose portfolio the agency falls has the authority to approve a renunciation. Jamaican citizenship cannot be renunciated by merely submitting a letter certified by a Justice of the Peace, Notary Public, or other public official. Individuals seeking to give up their citizenship must submit written proof of their assumed nationality in the form of a citizenship certificate, passport, or an official letter of assurance or promise of nationality by a foreign state to PICA. Application forms and further information on citizenship renunciation may be accessed on the agency's website at www.pica.gov.jm.
And that's it for today's magazine program. But keep the link. Tell us what you thought of the show. Send an email to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm or hit us up on Twitter @JISNews. Also click on our website jis.gov.jm for the very latest government information. On behalf of the team here at the JIS, I'm Arroyo Eubanks, inviting you to join us again tomorrow for more information you can use. Until then, take care and thanks so much for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.